Alright, so reloads. The first thing you need to do is figure out what animation file your gun uses. So the easiest way to do that is download Stewie's Tweaks and turn on the animation debugger. Do TDT in the console so the animations could pop up. And now just do your reload. Now for me it's 2HA reload I. Right here. So just look at what file or what name the file is for your gun, and then just keep that in mind, because when you finish your animation, that's what you're going to have to call it. Okay, so you have your idle blend project here from doing your idle from part 1. Okay, so before you do anything, you need to constrain whatever hand is going to be grabbing the mag to the mag. So okay, so for me, I'm gonna be using the right hand to be moving around the mag. So what I'm gonna do is click on the hand, go to the constraint tab, and then first do I, visual lock rot, go up 1 frame, take out the constraint, do the add bone constraint, child of. Okay, now whatever your gun skeleton, the nodes are called. For me, it's assault rifle. And then the bone will be whatever the magazine node is called. Mine is called riot clip. So now if you notice, if we move around the node for the magazine, it moves around the hand. That'll be useful when doing the movements for animating the magazine. Alright, the next part you need to do is you need to parent the meshes of the gun parts to their respective nodes. So for example, the magazine mesh, that one's going to be parented to the node of the magazine, which is called riot clip for me. These are the bones of the gun skeleton, but we just call them nodes, so it's called riot clip. Okay, so in object mode, you're going to click on the magazine mesh or whatever part you're going to be moving around. Alt P, clear and keep transformation. Okay, so now you're going to do shift and then click on the gun skeleton, control tab to switch to pose mode, and then make sure this is selected, the node that's responsible for the mag mesh. Control P, set parent bone. So if you just now click on that one node and move it around, it should move the magazine and the hand. So that'll be really useful when you're animating the reload. So the next part, I'm also going to be doing a charging handle pull. So just repeat the steps again. Make sure it's selected. Alt P to clear and keep transformation. Shift click the gun skeleton, and then you need to find whatever is in charge of the mesh. For me, it's called riot mechanism. Control P, parent a bone. So now if you just move this around, it'll move around that handle. Okay, so on the first frame, what you want to do is you're going to key all the nodes on the first frame, or on frame 0. So click I, lock rot, and now all of them should come out in the action editor. And if you don't know what mesh is controlled by what node, you could easily find that out by opening up the gun mesh, the NIF model in NifSkope. And then for example, if you click on the mesh, the mag mesh, you'll see that it's under the 9 node of hashtag riot clip. And then for the handle, it's under the riot mechanism, under the riot mechanism 9 node. So just look at your NIF if you don't know what node it falls under. By the way, if you want to put your textures on your gun and your hands and everything, instead of just having the white models, I'll leave a link in the description showing you how to do that. So now with all that said and done, you have your meshes parented to the nodes. You keyed everything on on frame 0, and you constrained the hand to the clip, to the magazine. Now it's time to start animating. To start animating, what I like to do first is in object mode, select the rig, shift, also click on the nodes and then the motion bones too, and then just switch them all to pose mode, so I could just easily click all of them. Alright, so everyone animates differently. I don't really want to give much, I don't really want to show how to animate since everyone animates differently, and I've only had about a year of experience of animating. But I'll give like general beginner tips that could be useful. So let's say like on frame 30, you already have the guy holding the mag. You see how it doesn't reach it? So what you have to do is extend the clavicle. You rotate it like this, so now it has more space, or it reaches further. So just pose the fingers too. I'm gonna just do a quick scuffed reload just so I could show what you need to do. And then what I like to do too is I already have the pose for the motion bone. So I guess for this I'll have it something like that. And if you want to look at your model and not let these bones get in the way, just click these up here, this button, and then it'll just be the model, so you could look at the fingers and stuff. Okay, so if you look from frame 0 to 30, the hand kind of just like phases through everything, and just so it could go to the position that I put it on. So then you would have to just correct all the in-betweens. So like right here, I'll just have it like over here. And if you want to stretch out the fingers, all the fingers at once, what you could do is box select everything, all the fingers. So if you do G, you could see that they're all selected. Pose, clear, transform, rotation, and it'll spread out all the fingers by itself. So now if you see here, it kind of makes more sense instead of it just phasing through the whole gun. Oh, make sure on the frame 30 or whatever frame you have the hand already holding the mag, you keyframe all the fingers. So when you stretch them out or edit them earlier, it won't stay in that position like it's doing here. So if I just undo until I get to where I was, right here, what you do, box select everything again, make sure these are the only ones selected, and then just click I, location and rotation. So when you edit the in-betweens, you won't be editing those fingers or whatever other bones you want it to edit. Okay, so when you want to start making him pull the mag out, what you have to do now, okay, let's say right here, click on the nodes, on one of the nodes, so then they come up in the action editor. What I like to do is I like to just copy the frame 0 node keyframes and then just drag them here. So let's say also what I like to do is I like to have the hand like hold the position, hold this pose for about a little bit, just so it won't look weird when he pulls it out. And then let's say on frame 50 he's already pulling it out, so click on the node that's responsible for the magazine and then just start animating that too. So, and once you do that, the hand follows. So now if you click play, it does the movement. So let's say you want it more down or whatever. Okay, and then when you have them putting it back, you could just do this, copy the frame again, and then just fix the in-betweens. So it doesn't look weird or nothing clips through nothing like that. It's clipping through the hand. You know, just try to fix the in-betweens. Well, that's how I do it at least. Okay, so once you're satisfied with your animation, with your mag in and mag out and mag in animation, if you're gonna do a bolt pull, now you need to get your pose ready for him to start pulling the handle. So first, go to the hand of whatever is controlling the magazine, and then you're gonna have to copy the frame until it reaches the end of the mag movement, so it stays holding the magazine. The pose stays, because if you do, let's say you do this, like you already have them over here or whatever, it's gonna look off, it's gonna mess it up. So you need to copy over the pose until the mag stops moving. Okay, so let's say over here you're gonna have them grab the pose, or grab the handle, do the pose for the handle. You know, just oh, and also if the elbows are messing you up too, you remember you could just edit them with the pull. So like that, something like that for me, just so his arm won't mess up. And then I could start pulling back the clavicle. So when he pulls it, he'll be in the position. Okay, let's just do this for now. Okay, so when you want him to start pulling it, what you're gonna do, okay, so let's say on 140 he's gonna start. So let's say over here on frame 150, you're gonna have him already pulled it back. You're gonna have to click on the hand and then shift click the node that's in charge of the handle, and then since it's gonna be a straight back pull, what you're gonna do, oh, before you do that, you go over here and you copy over the frames again until he's gonna start pulling it. So on 150, when he pulls it all the way back already, it won't mess up. And just have it pull it back. I like to make him hold the pose for a little, and then when he pulls it back, when he pushes it back, there we go. And then once you're satisfied with your animation, on the dope sheet, oh well, first you need to make sure the, oh okay, it's good. So then once you want to do the return to idle, just copy over the frame 0. And now now your animation, all it really needs now is motion. And with that, remember, we use the graph editor. This, make sure the motion bone is activated. Okay. And if you want to make these lines more curvy, you do Control and then the mouse wheel, and either you could, you know, stretch them out just so you could look at them better. So personally, what I like to do is, before messing with the graph editor, I like to just fix all the poses and stuff, but for now I'm just gonna leave them for the tutorial. For the motion, once you start animating the motion of your animation, you just have to start messing with the graph editor and see what looks best for you. So like for example, from frame 0 to this frame where he starts grabbing the magazine, I like to just mess with these curves over here. So let's say for X rotation, I mess with the handles so it doesn't look so something like that, just for an example. So let's say for Y rotation, I might have something like that. You saw how I made a difference. And then just keep doing this for your whole animation until you're satisfied with how everything turns out. So let's say this is fine for me, and if you want to do camera motion, personally what I like to do is just do it like how I do my attacks. I keep the constraint turned on for the motion bone. So camera dummy selected, I go to the constraint tab, and then say on frame 30, I already have the influence at like 2, set inverse. Oh, that might be too much, so I'll just turn it back. Maybe keep this influence longer. Okay, so the next part usually is to bake it to the text keys and then export. but since I gave the right hand some movements, I have to do an extra step, and this goes for any animation, not just reloads. So in New Vegas, the game has a problem where if you animate the right hand, the gun will start like jittering. Since the gun is parented to the right hand in game, if you start moving the right hand, like in this animation, it's gonna like jitter, and it's gonna like fix itself back into the position. That's why it jitters, since the gun is parented to the right hand. So if you have any animation that does that, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to scale the animation to 120 FPS. So let's say if you're animating in 60 like me, uh, right here, you're gonna move it to 120. But before that, what you're gonna have to do is on frame 0, make sure on the dope sheet you're on frame 0. Click on the right bracket, press S, press 2 if you were originally animating in 60 FPS, so you could multiply your frames by 2 to make them play in 120 FPS. So custom 120. So now all of your keyframes were scaled up twice. That means I have to double this too. Because if you bake at 120 FPS, then the jittering in game will be a lot less noticeable. It won't entirely fix it, but it'll be a lot less noticeable to where you can't even see it. Okay, so remember, only do this if you use the right hand in any animation, but in this reload, I use the right hand to do movements. Okay, so once you're satisfied with your animation and you scaled it to 120 FPS if you had to, like I did, now it's time to bake and export. So remember, you have to control click the scene root, click it, switch it to pose mode, pose, animation, bake action. Okay, so in my case, mine was called reload I, so right here in the action, reload I. And this time priorities are going to be 90, and then remember, these are always 25. Translate, rotate, not accum. Okay, so now the text keys. For reload, all it really needs is 3 text keys, actually 4. It's going to be the start, the end, and then the no blend key, and then the respect end key. And then the rest, it's going to be the text keys that are going to put sound into your reload. So for example, okay, so for me, I'm going to start. Next one, no blend. And the next one, respect end key. Okay, so like for example, when he starts pulling the mag, for me, okay, on the frame where he starts pulling it, which is around 90, around 90, frame 90, I'm gonna do a text key. And then, okay, so there's 2 ways you could add sound to your reload files, or just any animation file actually. So you could either use vanilla sounds, or you could use your own custom sounds. Okay, so if you're going to be using your own custom sounds in your KNVSC mod, you're gonna have to make a folder called sound, right here, right before anim group override, right here in the same directory as meshes is in. You're going to do sound, FX, and then a new folder. You could call it whatever. I'm calling mine Suomi. And then this is where you're going to put all your sound files as a WAV, WAV. So for example, this is what I have here. And if you're going to be using that sound, let's say this is like a mag out sound. What I'm going to do in Blender, I'm going to call it this. Make sure it's called this. Sound path. Oh shoot. Sound path colon fx/x suomi/ and then, like for example, we'll do that example WAV. But in my case, I'm not going to use any custom sounds. I'm just going to be using vanilla sounds. Now if I want to use vanilla sounds, you're going to have to open up GEC, and you're going to have to look at all the audio, the sounds. Let's say reload, filter it to reloads, and then just find whatever sound I want to use. Like for example, let's see, reload out, let's see this. Okay, so I'm just gonna use that. So if I want to use this, you're gonna have to copy this, and then instead of naming it that sound path, instead of naming it this, if you're gonna be using vanilla sounds like me, you're gonna have to do sound colon space and then paste the name of that thing you copied in GEC. So now on this frame, that means this sound is gonna play. This one that we just copied over. So then you have to do this for every time you want a sound to play. So let's say right here, for me, when he puts the mag inside, I'll do another key, sound, and then I'll just find another sound I want to use. Okay, and then let's say for the handle pull, you'll do this. Okay, like around here, you know, name it sound and everything, and find the sound I like, and then after end. Okay, so now you're ready to export it. So what I'm gonna call it is that file name that it showed in the console earlier. So for me it was 2ha reload I, export. Okay, so once it finished exporting, now you have to export the nodes. So the nodes, the gun skeleton, because that's going to be controlling the magazine and the handle and whatever other parts you move during the animation. So make sure these are the only ones that are turned on. Switch them to pose mode, click on them, press A to make sure they're all selected. Go to pose, animation, bake action. Okay, and then now you could export and call them nodes or whatever. Okay, so once your reload animation and your nodes are exported, now what you have to do, open both of them up. Now you're going to transfer over the nodes from the gun skeleton over to the animation like we did for attack. Okay, so what you're going to do now, make sure this is selected on the reload file. So depending how many nodes you animated, for me it was the clip and the handle. So I'm going to add 2 to this, so it'll be 64. control blocks array update. Drop down this, go all the way down here. Okay, drop down this. Over here on the nodes file, click on this, and then on mine, riot clip, that's what mine is called. Click on this blue arrow, right click, block, copy branch. Over here, go back over here, right click on this, block, paste branch, scroll back up. Node name, you're gonna call it the same as this. So in my case, it's called riot clip. Yours might be named something else. Okay, we're done with that one. No, actually no. Go right here to where it says controller, text, click on the little text. You have to find this, night transform controller. Now we're done with that. So now we have to do it again for the right mechanism, which was the charging handle for me. Click on the blue arrow again, copy branch, click on this, paste branch, go back up. Riot mechanism, I'm gonna just copy this. Controller. Okay, so once you're done with that, just save it. You don't need this no more. Okay, so once this is saved, now what you're gonna do, wherever you saved it, copy it and put it into your game. Put it into your KNVSC file, and now start up the game so you can see it in game. Alright, so now that you're in game, what you're gonna do now is just test it out. Make sure everything worked.
Jackpot.
Oops. Yeah, look, see, so it worked now. So that's basically reloads. Obviously I'm not gonna keep this, I'm gonna make a actually good one. So yeah, just keep practicing, because the first time it's not gonna come out good, honestly. So just keep practicing until it looks as best as you can make it. There, in terms of technicality and just the steps you need to do, it's actually one of the easier animations to do, but it just takes the longest, since it's an actual animation that you need to perfect the movements and everything. But once you start exporting it and everything, it's quite simple. Anyways, that's for reload tutorial.